Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Ask the Expert. If you're not new to this free webinar series from Livescale, I'm sure you know that every time you tune in, you get all the knowledge that you need for you to get started in live shopping and to advance your knowledge level within live shopping as well. So today, it's really exciting topic for me because as a marketer, I'm always trying to think how to push people down the funnel that it's fun for us, but it's also fun for our customer or our prospect and lead. And today we actually invited the expert Lucas to talk all things about how to push people down the funnel with how to activate your community by using different kind of interesting tactics in your marketing campaign. So let's not wait any further. Let me bring out Lucas. Hi, Lucas.
Hi, Ellen. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Of course, it's our pleasure. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good. How about you?
Good as well. So for those who don't know about Lucas yet, Lucas has a really amazing track record. I will let Lucas talk more about himself and then his experience in this field. But just a little bit of like a preview. Lucas basically pumped up a business school with the marketing and then the community activation strategy with the very secret sauce that he has that he's going to explain all of that to us today as well. Could you introduce a bit more to us about you, Lucas?
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you for the amazing intro already. So yeah, I'm the head of marketing at Spitche. That's what I do currently. We work for basically a solution that helps companies, cosmetics, fashions, and all lifestyle type companies to basically leverage the power of the community. So it fits with the topic of today. And yeah, so I'm head of marketing and product. So basically, to put it simple, my role here and in the company with our clients is to link the needs from the market and the needs from our clients to an actual product and to developing new features to help them out with different strategies.
Cool.
So this is a little bit about me.
Cool. So the topics that we have today is how to activate, identify, and leverage your brand community. And we all know that community is a really high valued access that a brand has, but probably not all brand is actually fully utilizing and maximizing the outcome that you can get from a community. From the way how you engage that, where and then when, it will be the key, right? Because
exactly. So the thing here is that communities in general, I mean, it's a word that we all hear when you talk social media. You talk about community management, and you talk always about community, but we never really get to define it. And we kind of value it, but we also don't use it to the full extent. So that's why I'm here today, also to explain how to do it, and I think to even start using it, how to understand it. I think that's the key point here.
Yeah, I'm already intrigued. So I think the key here today, I really would like to learn how do I identify the right group of community within all of the access that we have, like which are the people that I should talk to the most. And then, of course, as we always do in the Ask the Expert webinar, we leverage all the knowledge that we have to use it within live shopping strategy. So let's learn a little bit about and refresh your memory. What is live shopping?
Welcome to Livescale, where brands can stand out and sell live. Most brands leverage video, social media, and e-commerce. At Livescale, we combine all three into a seamless, fully integrated white label solution that boosts your awareness, brand engagement, and sales conversion rate. From the moment you start with Livescale, you'll have access to a brand-owned dashboard where you'll have full control over how your brand looks and feels, even which products you'd like to sell live. Your unique event URL can be shared directly to your community, wherever they may be. Newsletter blasts, SMS, or social media. Be bold. Ready to maximize website traffic? Stand out by embedding your live shopping event directly on any website. During your event, benefit from Livescale's engagement features controlled by you in real time. If sales are your objective, Livescale's integrated checkout creates a frictionless experience. Orders occur directly in your e-commerce system, and the customer doesn't have to leave the experience once. No production team? No problem. Connect an iPhone, use multiple cameras, or stream from anywhere with your favorite co-host. Post-event, view analytics in your dashboard. Download a recording for later use, and just like that, you're standing out.
Okay, so I'm assuming everybody now have a brief idea of what is live shopping. And before we dive into how to engage with the community, actually, Lucas, I have one more question about you. Among all these marketing field or like topics that you can choose, why you choose to dive into like only community and community in particular?
So, I mean, I think it comes from the different two sides. One is my personal experience, which, as you mentioned at the beginning, I was working, I have experience in the higher education sector. So I was working for a business school here in Spain. And I quickly realized that actually the best tool for a company and for any company is actually its own customers. And after realizing that, I also realized like, all right, now that I have my customers, who else is interesting for me? And that's when I came to the conclusion that community is actually the tool that you need to use to grow. And it's proven because it actually worked in that specific case. And the community in that case would have been, the parents in certain university, like the fans of the university, the people that are looking forward studying at the university, that have posters in their room. So all those people that makes a whole and that we don't usually really know. That was kind of the interesting part of it. And the second one is an opportunity one, which is basically me starting at Spitche here. And when I've met with Kevin, the founder and the CEO here at Spitche, and he explained me the idea of the startup and the products they were developing, which kind of fitted with the idea that I had about community. Then I jumped into the project, and yeah, that's how I dived into the world of community and marketing for communities and with communities.
Cool, interesting. I wish you would talk a little bit more about your company product within the question, like maybe that could help our community to actually leverage the community with that as well. So probably a little bit like similar questions. So now that we understand why you're so fascinated by community, for the fact that community is a really, really, I would say, very authentic way of trying to get your brand, like word of mouth, right? It always works the best. But why community is really important to a brand among all the other marketing access as well?
So the thing of communities, when you define it, the community is already like the group of people that is interested in your brand by definition. That's the definition of a community in the textbooks is a community is a group of people interested in the same, can be brand, can be the same value, the same idea, the same knowledge. So those people are interested into your brand, into your company, but you're not using them and you're kind of like letting them go and not even focusing on them, because we tend as companies to obviously focus into our customers because that's the people that bring the value to our company, but not as much into the rest of the people that might not be buying yet or that will probably even never buy, but that can still work for us. So when you mentioned, for example, the word of mouth, that's one of the aspects. But I think the importance of communities comes basically from the fact that a brand without a community is already not a brand. Because you can have the best product in the world, you can have the best company in the world. If you don't have a community to talk to, and if you don't have people interested in what you do, you're basically alone, and your company will never kind of work. For example, to show the importance, I mean, it's you can see large brands. You see Adidas, Sephora, for example, running a specific program for their community. So you can use them in different way. I mean, the community, it's like you have people engaging, people recommending, people advocating for brands. You have people producing content, testimonials, and also those people. So the more they produce, and for example, in the case of live shopping, the more they attend, the more they engage with the brands on the live shopping experience, as an example, the more data and the more information they're providing to the brand itself. So it's kind of a full circle of the company being interested in the ambassador or in the community, I would say, and the community being interested by the brand, and both of them giving information to each other.
That's a really great point. It sounded like what you're saying is not just about the community that you already have, but their extended community. That is really important to you because it's easier for the brand to basically get that extended community, get their interest via your existing community compared to you doing like a raw user acquisition from scratch. I think that's a really, really great point that I hope everybody is taking note. And I just see Marie-Hélène is just comments to say great. I think was when you were talking about why you like community so much. And so hi, Marie-Hélène. So if you have any question that you want to ask Lucas, don't hesitate, just shoot your comment and we'll be able to answer in real time as well. So we talked about why community is really important to the brand. So is everybody who tune into all kind of activities that the brand organize or like launch the initiative, then we should focus on them? Or like, is there a way to identify among everybody in the community of the brand? Is there a specific group that you should put more effort in?
So, I mean, obviously, the community is a large, very, very large group of people, and even more when you think now of online communities, because let's say 5-6 years ago, like communities were kind of local or national. Right now, we're diving into more and more digital. The COVID crisis actually even, let's say, helped and kind of developed that online aspect of it. So now there is no border, there is no language. So the only common fact into this community, the only thing that reunites them is your brand and is your company, your services, your product, for example. So obviously it's a very large group, but in this large group, we can also identify a smaller group, let's say a group that you can actually identify and leverage and actually have action with. And that would be, I would call them the most engaged or the top consumers. I don't use the word customers because they're not. So I like to use the word top consumers because they're actually interested in your service or your product. They're really very engaged with your brand, but they're not buying yet. Some of them are, some of them are not, some of them are planning to, some of them are not. So it's this community. And you mentioned before that, for example, this community is also the one that you identify, but the one that you could be getting and you could be kind of reaching out to. And that gives, for example, I mean, to put it simple, would you rather as an influencer, for example, and that influencer will talk to its own community. So people that are interested in that influencer and the content that influencer put, or invest into people that actually are interested into your brand. That would make them way more likely, I would say, and their community more likely to be also interested in your product, because we as individual anyway, we surround ourselves with people that have the same interests, the same values. So it's let's say an easier and more accurate way of reaching out new potential prospects and leads.
I have a thought. Lucas, you tell me if I'm understanding it correctly. It sounded like a super organic way, an approachable way to do a Facebook ad similar group. So if people listening to the talk today that it's a marketer, you probably not, you're very familiar. It's not a strange concept to hear about the Facebook similar group, similarity
Look
group.
alike, yeah.
The lookalike group. Sorry, I forgot about the term. It's been out of the field for too long. So when you looking to place an ad, you can do a lookalike group to find people that is already really engaged a lot to your previous ad, and then Facebook will find similar people, lookalike audience, to show the same ad because they believe that they will be like a lot more effective than showing it to random people, or maybe even the people that you put the criterias, because you can't put the criteria's behavioral segmentation. And it sounded like this way of leveraging the community to use the extended communities, almost like the Facebook lookalike ad feature, that you're able to basically people who bond together is because they have something in common, right? If we put that back in either the marketing promotional strategy for live shopping event, let's say, you're targeting people that have a specific interest to a specific skin type or specific ingredient type. They really believe in a medical ingredient for skincare, or they believe in organic ingredients for skincare. Probably their friend is also like, or their community that they have on the side, it's also really into these same type of ingredients as well. So when you're making a promotion to one person, you're actually making to a lot of them instead of just focusing on people who already make a purchase. So I felt like that's a really great concept that people can try to think it that way. Maybe it's easier for them to connect the behavior they've been using with lookalike ad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's the way, I mean, that I talk to you on and that I talk to the team on a day-to-day basis. It's actually using the same example you just used with the lookalike audiences. It's right now, for example, for the ones that were familiar with lookalike audiences on Facebook, on Instagram, I believe there is the same on TikTok and most of the social media platform today. You're basically paying an algorithm to distribute the content to users that look like the ones you already know that are interested in your product. When you can actually focus on those people that you actually know are interested in your product and let them distribute your message organically and like in an authentic way to their own community, which basically avoids paying a third party for something that if you have happy community about your product and ready to advocate for you, you don't actually need that algorithm to do the job for you because the human will do it better.
Yeah, and if people in the watching the webinar today is more like interested in knowing more how to identify the group that is within your community that's really effective, I believe that this is exactly what Lucas' solution is doing. So if you're interested, don't hesitate. I put the link just right below. You can just go and learn more about it. I'm sure on the website you get all the information of how to identify the most active or like the most valuable group of people within your community as well.
Exactly.
So now that we identify the most the valuable group in the community, what do we do to follow up with that then after we've narrowed down, okay, these are the guys, we're going to do something with them. So how should they interact with them? Do you have some like strategy to recommend or like thought to share on this?
So, I mean, obviously what the way of engaging and let's say have this kind of relationship with those top consumers that I was talking about before, obviously I would have to mention Spitche because that's what we actually do as like our business. But there is actionable strategies and pretty simple, I would say, and logical way of having this interaction with the community. And it's basically just to talk to them, which is something very simple, something that you might have heard a million times everywhere and read everywhere online, but it's actually something that brands don't often do. So you're producing content today as a brand for your community, but you're basically producing content for your audience. So you're producing content for the people you would like to talk to. And this is how most of the company work. When you're actually sending that content, not to the people that you want to, but to the people that actually want to receive that message. So, you're actually you're producing something to who you want to talk to instead of producing content to people who actually want to hear it from you, which would be the community in that case. So just by talking to them, and that can be just through, for example, social media, obviously today is a great tool because you can actually open conversation, create groups, and actually care for that community and create dialogues with them. At Spitche, we use a different strategy with it, a reward strategy, which would be the same then, for example, today, most of the brands and probably most of the people that look at it, like they're watching us and listening to us today, have been part or not, or actually have one of their own loyalty program, it would be the same way that you would do that, the same strategic way of rewarding people for an action or something that they do for you. But instead of just rewarding them for being purchaser and clients, why not actually rewarding and putting value into all the other actions that they can do for your brand that have no, let's say, financial value, but that will have a very high impact on the brand itself?
Before Lucas go any further, I just want to make sure that everybody hear that super important question. There's a huge difference between people that you want to talk to and people who wants to listen to you. And I think that's really the key that Lucas is trying to point out here. As a marketer or like any sort of marketing campaign, we always so many hidden agenda, right? We have a message that we want to convert and we have something that we want to say. But very often we forget we have to speak or like share something that they want to listen, or at least we have to say our message in a way that they want to listen to. So I think this is really, really important point. I just want to make sure everybody that hear that sentence. Okay.
Exactly.
So,
and now, sorry to interrupt, but like now that you actually say that, that comes back to the first point we were talking about also, is that once you're talking to the people that actually want to hear from you, you can actually use the people that want to hear from you to talk to the other people that might not even know yet that they want to hear that, which would be then the community of your own community, which would be kind of a way of using influencer marketing, but taking apart the influencer part of it and using your own community as an army of an influencer, if I can say.
Yeah. I think that's, well, influencer, we already know that works, right? But working with influencers have a lot of following sounds like an obvious choice. But a lot of people are not noticing like nano influencer, micro influencer is actually the way to go. It's like not about how many followings or how big the followings that influencer has, but how impactful that person can influence, have an impact to the community, even though it's meaning that person have 1,000 followers, it's all their close friends and coworkers. But if that person has a huge impact on those people, they're your micro influencer. You can work with 10 of them and it could be maybe equal to the one influencer that you're working with. I think this is also like something very interesting for us to dive into as well. So
exactly. And
sorry.
I just want to point out, like, obviously I'm talking now today of like replacing the influencer. I'm not talking that you should avoid using large influencers, because those are proven strategy and it actually works for companies. I'm just saying that using your own community as nano influencers, as micro influencers, might be a very, very high impact, let's say, strategy to complement the larger influencer strategies that might be in place already.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I have another very fundamental question that I want to hear. Do you have a different point of view on that? It's like we talk a lot about engagement. Whenever we do anything that is online, right? We want to have the engagement, we want to have the impressions. And especially when we work with influencers that we have been talking in the past couple of minutes, what is engagement to you? What is valuable engagement or engagement that you think brands should actually put more resources in and should put more focus on?
So when we talk on engagement, I believe all engagement is valuable. The problem is today we're focusing engagement and we're actually measuring engagement the way that traditional tools are actually measuring engagement. So you might be using, Facebook analytics, Google analytics, all those tools that actually give you metrics on engagement, but that don't give you the value of each metrics. So for me, you might see Facebook telling you, for example, on a post you had 100 likes, that would be 100 engagement action for you. You might think it's good, you might think it's not worth, for example, the work to create that engagement. But that engagement, I see it also as SEO, because that will push your content also on an SEO basis. That will help you paying, say, Facebook for pushing your content. So it will help you with kind of tricking the algorithm there. But it's also markers. For me, I like to think of engagement of different little markers. So every single action of engagement can be sharing UGC, testimonials, recommendation. When you mentioned word of mouth, can be a Facebook engagement, can be Instagram. I like to see all of them as little markers and little dots down the road and on the customer journey that you can actually use to track and to measure the customer journey and your consumer journey even more. Because that will, the more data basically you will create with that engagement and the more little markers you will have, the more you will understand also your community and its behavior and the way they're going down the funnel, for example. So if I know that my community usually engage more with this or with that, or with this type of content, or on that specific platform, it also helps me create patterns and understand that behavior of kind of moving down the funnel.
It sounded like what you're encouraging people to do is not just about pushing people down the funnel. Of course, there's always our ultimate goal in the marketing objective for a brand, but also to building a place, gathering content, creating content. So you create an environment that people like to stay just for the content and the interaction with the audience itself, right?
I mean, obviously, because the more people you will get engaged with your content and interested in what you're seeing, the more likely you are to be able to sell your product, your service. And again, all engagement, as I was saying, you might not be relevant for you as a financial, let's say, as like a goal to move down the funnel, but it will still be engagement that will be, again, used as markers to understand better this community that you have in front. Because right now, we're just looking at basically a random huge group of people that are interested in our brand, but we have no idea who they are, what they like, why are they here. So this will help us, all those markers basically will help us understand them and be able to do our job better and to sell our products better down the road, basically.
I like how you use marker to describe that, because it sounded like we can complete user profile by doing different activity and see what kind of activity they engage with. So you can basically really completely mold and identify the full profile of a person via the journey of different kind of engagement activity with the user. So as we are live shopping solution, I'm curious to know, can live shopping solution or like the chat that we have within the live shopping experience be one of the marker to interact with the audience or the community? Do you think that could work? Or if that could work, how can it work?
Of course, and I see actually, and when I talk to our clients, for example, here at Spitche, that every action you do, live shopping or other type of actions, they're not only creating markers in terms of engagement, they're also the way, so they're producing it, and you can also use that engagement. So for example, in the case of live shopping, obviously you would have the chat, you would have as engagement, you would have the people actually clicking on your product, completing purchase or not, engaging with that specific content. But on the other side, you have also that pool of individuals, which are your community, that are interested already in your product, that you can actually use even for your live shopping experience, even outside the chat. So you will have the tracking of the engagement into your live shopping that actually is taking place, but you also have in the planning of that live shopping experience, using that community to actually create an even better live shopping experience before you actually publish it and before you have it even live, I would say. So it will help you choose the product you're going to push, would help you invite the relevant community to that live event. So yeah, you can use basically in both ways. And obviously, the more markers you have in terms of engagement, the more data you collect on their engagement, from engaging on social media pre-purchase to the purchase to the live shopping event you have. If you put all those markers together, the more you have, the better the profile, basically, and the more complete the idea you will have. If to put it clear as an example, today, as an e-commerce in, I don't know, cosmetic fashion, for example, into your CRM, you would have Lucas or Helen, you would have our name, our address, our purchasing behavior, probably the type of product we buy, all the things we like, how many products we buy, the value we generate, things like this. And on the other side, you would go to your Facebook analytics and you would have ideas about like our profile, maybe our age, our interest, the football club we like, all the different like interests we have and values we have. And if you combine the live shopping engagement, the purchasing engagement, the one you have on social media, and all this engagement and all these markers together, then we have a complete right. Lucas purchased that much, generated that much value, but also attended 2 live shopping events, usually buy this type of product, and also engage with this type of content on social media. So it gives a way better understanding for brands also of who they're talking to and who they want to talk to.
You just mentioned 2 huge points that we always try to educate our community on, which is the product creation, what kind of product to pick, and then how to bring traffic or like bring the right traffic to the event. But before I go into that, I want to follow up a bit more about the marker point. When you have a complete profile, does it mean that, for example, I'm sure marketing people not it's really familiar with the concept of persona. But for the fact that we have a lot of different markers, it actually can make our persona a lot more. And which is the huge trend today is like when I receive an email, I don't want to receive an email that is just like 20% mention me. I want to receive an email that is at least 80% describing me. And I actually received an email from a French clothing brand that I think is really smart what they do. And I think it's quite similar to you
They're
guys.
French, that's why.
Probably. And then basically the email subject line is like whatever they want to say about the clothes, right? And then in the end, they tell me the size of the model. And I did not click into it, or I click into it because it's my size. It's like, so basically, I think this sounds like they're trying to identify the way that which community I belong to, the way that I interact with the email. And I think like what you're saying, having a lot of marker, just like this email subject line, the fact that I'm clicking into the body size that fit me, they probably identify me because I've never purchased anything probably, but now they know, even though I've never purchased anything, or at least they know that I'm following different sizing, so they know a more precise marketing strategy to put on. And with your solution, if we will be able to do more markers and have more little dots, then we can do a lot more personalized emails. So how it works, like
exactly. I mean, you can personalize the experience, but you can personalize all your marketing actions. I would say you can personalize every single action you do. And in the case of live shopping, for example, if I know, for example, I'm a cosmetic brand, I know already that this type of persona is more interested into this, let's say, skin type products and organic, as you were mentioning before. Then I can email those people instead of, hey, we're having a live shopping experience about our new set of products. You can actually invite the right people for the right product and tell them, hey, tomorrow at this time, we will have a live shopping session about the product that match your skin type and your preferences, without even you having to tell them all this data. When I look at it, it's also fun because you can see all companies you look around, and we actually have a lot of markers, and all companies have a lot of those markers here and there. So you have them on your CRM, you have them on your website, you have them on social media, on the live shopping, everywhere. But you don't put them all into one, which is the one that is actually powerful. Once you reunite all that data and all those markers together, all those points, that's when it creates a line, and that line is the one that is helping you give a better experience. And the better your experience with your customer, your consumers, your community, then the better also this community will help you out to share that message and to actually influence the rest of their own community to come to your brand.
Impressive. So the fact that we identify the group of user or individual, many of the individual, and then you group them up together, does it help us to identify further, for example, a channel, or I don't know, does it help to further identify more in the market within the marketing access apart from persona if we do this exercise?
I mean, exactly. The more markers you have. So imagine today if I'm tracking a group of users and I'm tracking them on, let's say, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and their e-commerce activity. So I can clearly identify and segment them into specific groups. And inside those groups, if I have the markers of these groups, we usually engage with that content on Facebook, that content on Instagram, that specific TikTok content, then you already know, okay, if I want to do this action, I might want to go towards TikTok, or I might want to go towards Facebook, for example. And even more than that, because all those markers, obviously, they have a timestamp on them. So you know the day, you know the month, you know the time, you know to the second, because that's how tracking tools work. So you even know not only the channel, but you also know when to talk to these people and when to share your message to.
I see. So bring it back to the 2 points that you mentioned in live shopping, the product curation and then the traffic. So how can we leverage the fact that we're able to identify better the persona and put a lot of markers maybe already before they land on the live shopping event, right? How exactly we can leverage the solution that you have, for example, that your company provides to ensure that we are targeting the right traffic to the event? Like, because let's set that the event objective itself. The event one objective is sales, maybe the other event objective is engagement, but this one is really in particular in sales. How should they leverage the tactics that you just recommend?
So for example, using our solution as an example in order to drive the right traffic and choose the right products into a live shopping experience, a live shopping event, with the goal, as you mentioned, of selling. That would be the end goal of that specific action. Already, by having the markers of, for example, loyalty program, I'm taking because we work the same way, so with rewards. So the more you engage, the more points you get, the more reward you can actually redeem. Analyzing also the reward you redeem, not only the engagement you produce to get those points, but you can also analyze the different products you're redeeming as rewards, because those are also giving you markers. And if I know that 20% of this specific target group takes the reward, which would be, I don't know, in terms of a cosmetic brand, could be the lipstick, for example, then I already know that if I want to create a live shopping experience tomorrow, selling that specific lipstick, then I might be interested in going towards that group, because that's the group that actually takes usually lipstick as a reward. So I can target them first to get them to my event, but also I know exactly what product to offer them right away. If I cross that data with my e-commerce purchase and my activity on sales, I even know which brand maybe to push, which skin type is better, which promotion will work better. So I kind of cross all the information and the different markers I receive from the different points to make that experience, let's say, more accurate and sell even more, which at the end of the day, it's just a logical way. It's just a way of thinking and a way of collecting and putting it together.
Yeah, that's inspiring me of one thought. Tell me if you think that is a legit thought too. Apart from like product type, maybe if those audience that with the little marks that you have, they are kind of audience that make a quick decision on purchase. Like the touch one is really feel like maybe 3 or like just a huge deal can get them make a purchase right away. And those people should more likely be making a purchase during a live shopping event compared to, for example, people that's going to take 12 touch point until they make a purchase. Because with that in mind, like live shopping event, it's an event that happened maybe an hour or like maximum 2-3 hours, like sometimes only 30 minutes. So people have to be like the product enough, or like can make a quick decision that will make a purchase within the live streaming time. So maybe that would be a good way to segment and then to identify as well from the engagement.
Exactly, that would be as a concrete example, and you can go even further on that point. I mean, obviously that would work better, and you're giving me ideas for my future clients, that you can even know, looking at other markers that you have on your own website, for example, on where these type and where this segment actually goes on your website usually, and place your event and your live event on that specific area at this specific time in that specific country. So, the more you know basically about this community and the better you track them, the better you will have, like the better your event basically, and the more you will sell.
Cool. So if you guys are really interested in the topic of identifying, narrowing down the target community that you have to start to do some exercise, I have a link right below here that I will also posted in the comment, because I think the best person to talk to is Lucas himself. So don't hesitate to just book his time to talk more about it. But apart from this, Lucas, could you, because we're going to the end of the webinar, before people go, is there one exercise that you can provide them? After they take all the knowledge from the webinar today, is there one exercise that they can do within their own system, maybe to identify if this is a solution for them, if this is something that their brand should look into? What would be the clue for them to identify that?
For me, the easiest and I think the most actionable step you can take without thinking different solution, without thinking technology or anything, is just open up an Excel file, take your CRM, choose a specific clients, just random individual, and try to see from all the different channels and all the different area where you communicate and area where you engage with those customers and that community, and just write down every single engagement action that person could have with your brand and what can you take out of it. So a like on Facebook, you might think it's just a like on Facebook, but the like on Facebook would also give you an idea of like the time that person is active on social media, the place they're active, the type of content that they interacted to, the color, even the text that you use. So just try to like narrow and detail as much as possible. And just by doing this exercise, you will realize how much you already know about these people and how can you like talk to them even better without involving any automatic, any complicated thing. Just list and think. I think that's the main actionable strategy here that I can give.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's always good to just lay out everything like on with your teammate using memo just to like brainstorm and see what kind of steps that we have. It's not just to help you to understand the full picture, but the fact that you're doing this exercise, sometimes you realize some step that you forgot because you're doing the job every day. You're not able to see
Exactly, and you
everything.
might not have the time even.
Exactly. So I think it's a really good exercise to do, at least in the beginning of the quarter, to know. And before we go, do you want to take an opportunity, Lucas, to talk a bit more about your solution? Because I know that your solution is basically to help them save a lot of time, to have a lot of things that are more optimized, and also like can go deeper, because machine and the technology that you have allowed the brand to go deeper than the human brain to function. Would you like to talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, just to explain it, obviously you have the link below where you can always contact me and discuss it. I'll be happy to explain further. Basically, what we do at Spitche is that we created a solution, as I mentioned, that works the same way as a loyalty program, which works as points and rewards for different type of engagement on social media, on your e-commerce website, that allows you first to create and to push, to increase, let's say, this engagement, because by rewarding your community, you increase the number of action they're making, and at the same time, by increasing the number of action, creating more and more and more and more centralized markers, and allowing you basically to understand them better. And as you mentioned before, Helen, personalize all the experiences from your website to your live shopping to any other marketing action you have, can be advertising or influencer campaign, basically even better by the knowledge of your own community.
Cool. So community here that tuned in to Ask the Expert today, thanks again, and thanks a lot for Lucas to tune in today and then to share all the knowledge with us. There's so much that we can learn, that if you have other questions, I really highly recommend you to go check out the solution, because I've go check out myself the fact that how optimized it is for a team to basically able to leverage something a brand already have, no matter it's on live shopping or in other marketing channel, to personalize the message, to identify the winning group, the winning channel, and to basically have a really complete and clear persona and the profile of a user. It's going to be a huge plus for any marketer that have to facilitate any sort of strategy, because it's not just about the trend, that it's all about personalization today, but also with the 100% resources that you have, how are you going to allocate it more precisely so you don't waste your resources? I think it's always the challenge, like a day-to-day challenge for any marketer. So thanks again, Lucas, for coming to join us today. And if you want to learn more about live shopping experience or live shopping knowledge, you can go to academy.livescale.tv. We will also be posting a recording of this. So if you want to share with your coworkers about this, you can also follow academy.livescale.tv. You will find it. And then if you want to find Lucas, you will have the link in the comments. And also I'm putting here the website and the Spitche.com. You can go and check out more information. And you have other more questions about either the solution of how to identify a user group or community, you can go to either find Lucas on LinkedIn, or you go find it in the website or comments in the below the video. We always go check and just to answer your question.
Thanks, Helen, for having me, and thanks everyone for listening. Actually, and yeah, don't looking forward actually talking to some of you about community.
Yeah, I'm sure your phone's gonna blow up. That was a really insightful webinar. So thanks everybody. So enjoy the summer if you guys is summer over there. Bye.
Bye bye.